Hey folks, it's Monday, last day of September the 30th. Cheers. Still rocking my Dereck Higgins Exploration t-shirt. I'll be getting out my sound waves pretty soon. How are you doing? How am I doing? I'm hanging tough. It's an intense thing, when you go through this, losing someone to suicide. And I need to talk about it more because it's, it's fresh. Grieving is a time. They say that time heals, but when it comes to grieving, there's no time lapse guideline. It's different for every person. His service is tomorrow night for the public, and then there's a private service on Wednesday for the family. I sent a message to his wife, I think ex-wife. I'm not sure if they got divorced. Like I said, when I explained what I understand, I stepped out of that picture, but she finally got a hold of me. And so I look forward to seeing her at the services because I really like Stacy, his wife. And when things got real hairy, I had to step out of the picture because I don't know what's true and what's not. Sorry to find out that the truth about the dark side of Kelly was true. Sorry. I'm really sorry to hear that. I'd always wondered about he and his wife's fascination with Marilyn Manson and Halloween and stuff. To me, stuff like that tells of a deeper story. Well, it's just not spooky stuff. There's something else going on there with a lot of people. Not everyone, but with a lot of people. That fascination with the darkness is an indication of other problems or other things that aren't quite right. Had to share with you that clip from our last show. I mean, I didn't know it was our last show. I had inklings over, that happened in 2023. Our drummer moved to Arizona, so we can't just get together. So I've had these thoughts that, well, maybe that's it, after that show. Something that we do want to try to do eventually, I think I said it, is we want to play the music again. And someday we'll put together some kind of tribute show where people will get up and sing the songs since Kelly can't. Here's one more thing, since this is public and a lot of people watch this. Matt Miller is the original singer and the person who started the band and the person that got me in the band. I told you the story about meeting him as a patient where I worked. It's been a fraught relationship the whole time. Things were so bad that I blocked him almost a year ago on the phone. He doesn't live in Omaha anymore. Well, when Kelly died, I'm just going to be blunt. When Kelly killed himself, and I found out that, holy shit, the day he did it is Matt's birthday, last week, the 26th. Who knows if it was on purpose or whatever. But anyway, when I found that out, I unblocked Matt. Matt started to call, but I couldn't answer. And so if anyone has contact with Matt Miller, tell him to call Paul, okay? Paul is the reason why I joined the band, and they were supposedly friends. Not really me. And the fact of the matter is, Matt didn't have anything good to say about about Kelly. So why is he calling me to traumatize me some more? I don't need it. He can call Paul if he really wants to know what's going on. And there's a whole reason why he won't do that. So I'm done with being traumatized on behalf of the band. Not surprisingly, interest has increased in the band, and so sales have picked back up. It's not the greatest reason, it's anticlimactic. It sucks, actually, that someone has to die for people to pay attention to what you're doing. But I'll leave the link, if you're interested, because folks are buying the record, buying the CD. With that in mind, I needed to get out of the house yesterday. I had company on Saturday. My good friend Frank, I've mentioned before, came by. He is one of my closest friends, and I needed to spend time with someone. And Frank was perfect because Frank has died. Literally, I saw Frank die, and then they brought him back, but he was comatose for several days. It was an accident with a blood being drawn while he was in the hospital, and the phlebotomist student killed him because they missed the vein in his side of his body, blew up, turned black with blood, and he died. And I'm there with his wife, and so having Frank over was wonderful because his perspective on things is different from most people. He's been dead already. And so to him, every time he breathes is a gift. He said, tomorrow means nothing to me. This is it. I've been to the other side. I've seen the light. Yes, he said, yeah, I saw that light they talk about. So he was good company. Sunday I got out of the house. I needed some vinyl therapy. I did. Plus I knew that depending on who was working at the store at Grapefruit, either Simon or Kathleen, both are friends, they would be someone good to talk to, because Kathleen was in a band with Kelly. She was in Jimmy Scappa with him. And she was working yesterday, so it was perfect. I went down and spent some time with her talking about stuff. And it's a good thing because there was something behind the counter waiting for me. I sat behind the counter with her, talking and stuff, kind of helped out. And so I'll show you. I've been after this album for years. Nirvana. The story of Simon Simopath. Saw it sitting in a pile behind the counter that hadn't been priced yet. And I said, okay, that has my name on it. It's beat, but this is really hard to find. Come to find out, after I left, she messaged me and said, oh, I forgot to tell you that record came from the collection of a person who says they know you. And it's Psych Dereck Fisher. No surprise. I've been after this album for years. It's just one of those records that I've been after. It's a good album, but it's more than that. It's representative of a time in my life. The end of the 60s, 67. Psychedelia and everything related to it. It just caught my imagination as a kid. And I haven't I remember seeing this album when it first came out. Since then I've rarely seen one, and they always go for $100 because of the cover's shape. The record's in good shape. We dickered with the price, because I talked the price down fairly, though. On Facebook, I posted this to Dereck's group, Psychedelic Situation, and told him, oh, I got your copy. You must have got a new copy. And he sure did. And of all things, he got it from another collector that we know, Steve Tuco Jacobs. Interestingly, last Sunday, there was a small record show, and I didn't go because I just knew I just didn't have the money. But apparently you know, Steve Tuco Jacobs had a table there, because the last one they had, Scriptown record show, Steve had a table, and I bought the other Nirvana album from him, but it was in pristine condition, so I paid $100 for it. So Dereck Fisher tells me that he got a copy from Tuco Jacobs last weekend. It's probably in mint condition, so I know he paid $100+ for it. I don't like doing that. You know, I don't really have it to spare, really. But I got that. Bought 2 more records. I had to keep it down, you know, because of money. Just because of money. Damn it, you know. There's some other records sitting out. So they had this in the used section. Boris, No. And I just like Boris. And this is kind of a punkier, noisy album. Not noisy in the noise Merzbow way, but punky noise. I just like Boris. They're supposed to be coming next month to Omaha. And the other album I got, partially because of the label it's on, Listen Here, Nicra. It's on the Ogun label, a label I like to collect and don't have very many things on it. Nick Evans, Rattle Mouth Body, Keith Tippett, Bushy Nebergall. Only played a little bit of this. It's jazz. Keith Tippett on piano. But it's a label that I forget who started the label. Jazz-oriented, somehow somewhat related to the Canterbury people, Soft Machine, those people. Had to get it. Some other records sitting out. Secondhand, their first album. This is a reissue. Crazy album, if you've never heard this. Of course, some of you folks haven't. Some of you folks may have original copies of this. Very, very wild, and just, I don't even remember what it's about. The album is titled Reality. It's weird, but very interesting. Here's one that when I found it used and first listened to it, I was disappointed. Was hoping it would be something glam rock or something progressive, but it's pop. Secos Molhados, and it's grown on me. It also helps that I'm in several international groups of record collectors, and when I've shown it, folks from Brazil have explained to me how, for many people, this is considered a great album. And stylistically, it is all over the place. It's not just straight pop, but yeah, you could almost say that this has some psychedelicness to it. Good musicians. Secos Molhados. Glad I have this. Another pull, because I haven't played it in a while. Francisco, Cosmic Beam Experience. There's a gatefold of this with the artwork on the inside. Would have been nice to have, but glad I found this. This starts off kind of community raising spirits, and we're going to all become better people together, and kind of a chorus singing, which is kind of forgettable. And then the rest of the album is real cosmic, spiritual. It's good. This guy's some kind of percussionist or something. I read up about this a while back, but I forget. It's good. And I kind of needed it. I needed something like that. The thing that really helped my mood when I first got the news, as I was processing it through Friday, because it's been surreal, you know. When I went to the store on Friday, is when I noticed just how affected I am by this. I was walking around in a daze. I had to keep reminding myself, what am I here? What am I buying? Suicide sucks. So, Medicine compilation from the Quiet Lodge by Haruomi Hosono. This did the trick. This is so meditative, so beautiful, so fucking deep. I love that cover too. Musician Laraji plays on this as a guest. Laraji has been a guest in my home, and we've jammed on music in this room. This is a fantastic album. This is wonderful. Haruomi Hosono is a genius. I expect even more so. I think of him as a genius because his roots. He's all wanting to copy that American sound, that West Coast. He was really into Van Dyke Parks, and the first albums which I have his first records. No indication of what he would end up doing with electronics. And the whole electronic thing started out as a joke. You know, doing a send-up of Martin Denny and Arthur Lyman. And it just grew from there. And I'm glad it did. This is just fantastic. Another record that I pulled because I had been watching, well, I'm always watching, watched a couple of interviews with Stuart Copeland, formerly of the Police and Curved Air. He's older than me, but he's like people like me, where he still looks young. He doesn't look 70 years old, and he doesn't act it either. I like that about him. He's very, 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 very honest, and I can almost see where he and Steve would have fought viciously. But anyway, it caused me to pull this album to play, because Curved Air, I like the band, but this is one I got way after the fact. Finally got a copy of it. This album is almost terrible. It's not terrible, but it's... Curved Air made some good records. Their first 3 albums are really good. And then the album that with Aircut, with Eddie Jobson, that's really good too. This is like, they don't know what they're doing. It's like they're trying to please the record business. They're trying to please the label. It starts off with kind of a rock and roll song. The Midnight Wire song saves it. That's a Curved Air song. Stuart Copeland is on drums here. When I listened to him talk about his time in the band, he was married to Sonia Christina. It makes sense, you know. He's a nerdy drummer. You know, he just wanted to play the drums, you know, and he was looking for a gig. So I can see where Curved Air was on its way out at that time. The original magic of the band was over. Played a little bit of this, but it didn't strike my mood, so I took it off. But this is a real good record too. It's a reissue, Red Hash by Gary Higgins. Sort of singer, songwriter, sort of something else. The Red Hash title kind of gives it away, and the stoned look on his face also tells the story. I'll show these right quick because I was playing music, reminiscing, looking at pictures of the band, Kelly's family and stuff. And I just, you know, played a bunch of music. So I got a bunch of Burns. So I was playing these. Flaviola, Il Banda do Sol. This is a rare album. This is real good. It's not hard rock. It's progressive and folk. Wonderful. 5 Day Rain. This is an album that was recorded in the 70s but was never released until about 20 years later. Found out about it online, downloaded it. It has a magical track on it. It saves it because it meanders, it jams, It has Marie's a Woman, one of those old kind of almost, to me, misogynistic type of songs where men used to sing about women like their property and it was acceptable. But there's a magical track on here. I think it's called Good Year. I said, oh yeah, that's good. What else? I played some Boud Deun, a hard album to find, The Stolen Bicycle. Progressive. It's good. This is good. I wish I could find a copy of this on vinyl. This is that symphonic type of progressive rock, but really good, not pretentious. Asia Minor, Between Flesh and Divine. That's real good. Here's some metal, kind of progressive metal, kind of strange. I forget what country they're from. Aarni, Tolkos. Isn't that a strange cover? That's partially why when I came across this online, I said, well, I just need to hear that. It's okay. It's kind of strange. Anything else here that I played? Yes. Atto 4. Again, I forget where this is from. This is real good. Progressive, King Crimson rock and opposition type. Real good. I think it's Italian. Yeah, now that I remember the words are in Italian. This drummer kicks ass on this. This is real good. Anything else? Yeah. Got a bunch of burns. Like I said, for every record I show you on vinyl, there's 100 more, 1,000 more I wish I had. Like this, Circus, Moving On. Prog rock, vocals are not so good. Arti Mestieri, I have 3 of their albums, but I don't have this one. Aquario, live. Furio Chirico on drums. Notable drummer. Roberto Colombo, Sto Got to Be Besti. Another one that I'd love to find on vinyl. Way cool. 2 more. Luciano Cilio, Dialogue del Presente. Another just really wonderful, hard to describe. It's not jazz or rock. It's just, could almost be on ECM. I watched recently a documentary on Masters Apprentices from Australia. They really tried hard to break through and just never made it, except in Australia. They were huge. A Toast to Panama Red, really good band. They started as a beat band and went all the way through psychedelia, prog. Good band. French band, Catharsis. 32nd of Mars. 30th of Mars. This is really good. Kind of classical and churchy. And then this last thing I'll show. CMU. Open Spaces. Kind of fusioning. Music saves my soul. I am not only lamenting the loss of my friend Kelly, but the loss of the band's future. That's the other part about suicide, the way it affects people. People who are affected by it, you go through feelings, sadness, grief, and anger. There's anger, honest anger. The whole band, we're in communication, Dan, Paul, Tim, and I, because this is just devastating. It's fucked everything up for us, one of the other bands I talk about that in my history is the band Digital Sex. And for a long time, I thought that was maybe my crowning achievement. We were one of the bands that helped to open up indie rock in Nebraska. We paved the way for people like Bright Eyes and Cursive, and they've said so much, We were the first Nebraska band to get any attention on MTV. 311 have acknowledged that RAF were one of the bands that inspired 311 to become a band. I remember the Hexham Boys at our shows, sure do. So, you know, Kelly's leaving, you know, in this way. It's harsh. It's harsh. I just saw a comment. Let me see. Was it on the YouTube or? Yes. This person says, and it's true. I didn't say it. He's saying it. Many people are saying it. RAF was the cornerstone of the Omaha hardcore scene when he was coming up in the 80s. This breaks his heart. He lost his sister to suicide. I'm so sorry, friend. But I'm really proud of that. We are we are a standard bearer. And we proudly, I say we, speaking on behalf of the rest of the band, we proudly associate ourselves with punk, even though we're more. Someone who made a comment, let me read it. Another comment on the video. I like this punk because it is very melodic to my ears, like a good hard rock band. Kelly, you did a good job. The deal is, see, we came out of the hardcore punk community and scene, but the band is just a good band. And even though you don't hear it, but if you listen closely, if you get the album, after I tell you this, you'll hear it. The guitar player is heavily influenced by Rush, among others. And in 38 Special, okay? And then there's me with all of this, making sure that the music drives hard and is melodic. That's really why I joined the band. I was blown away, number one, by their energy when I went to the first practice. It was madness. It was a bunch of teenagers. They had a bunch of friends over. It was hard to get to practice because of all the other shit going on. But when they started to show me the songs, I said, damn, these are some good songs. Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this? And it turns out that most of the music was written by Paul, the guitar player. Matt wrote the words. So I have some stuff to mail out. Ooh, I need to make sure to get that taped well. I'll leave the link if you're interested. This is the end of an era, you know. It's like there is no possibility to make another RAF record the way that we did. I mean, musically we could, but you know what I'm saying? It's over. Thank you for bearing with me and letting me speak about this. Now, something else that's going on, I was looking for, but I don't see a link for it. The Ptolemaic Donus series that I interviewed for supposedly went online yesterday, but I can't find a link to it. When I do, I'll add it. As always, folks, let me know how you're doing. Share your thoughts with me.